Hi everyone, thanks for being here. This is Rachel with Dark Knight Coaching. Today's video is about the Lionsgate portal. I am recording it on Lionsgate as we speak, so you're going to be watching this video pretty fresh from whenever I post it. And thank you for being here. If something resonates, please hit the like button and comment. It helps my channel grow and I greatly appreciate it. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This is a very tough Lionsgate portal for a lot of us. I did get a lot of messages in regards to the ending of something. It could be literally death, or it could be, the ending of bad patterns, bad habits, things of that nature. Because the first card I pulled for us collectively is the shock card. This is from my I Ching deck. Now, I Ching is typically not a game, a form of divination that you can cast yin and yang coins, essentially, and then it determines the type of lines and if it's feminine or masculine energy, and that's what creates these hexagrams, essentially. So if you want to learn more about I Ching, I'll probably post a video about that shortly, but if not, just Google, and you can learn about what that is. So it says, shock stirs and shakes you up, spreading fear and hysteria, and suddenly everyone is reacting to their own strong emotions and to those of others. So hold on to what you value most and keep it safe through this upheaval. Never lose your connection with the creative power that remains constant and true through the storms. So what must change and what will continue for you? And that's kind of the common theme of this whole reading. Honestly, it's like, I wish I could show you I'll kind of show you the cards. You just have kind of a really eclectic medley of a lot of facades going, a lot of shedding of an old skin, a lot of things like really moving forward because of internal change that you're doing and external factors as well, like because there can't be evolution without involution and so on. Now, the next two cards I have for you, these both came out at the same time. Typically, I take like one archetype card, but I did take both of these because I do feel like it's kind of fitting for this reading. Now, when I see the kiss card, it always makes me think of like the kiss of death. I don't know why. It just does. Like, I'm clearly an optimist here. Now, it could be, for some of you, it could be like you're getting a kiss and it's eclipsing your heart. Because when you look at this card, I also see like a total eclipse of the heart. But for this particular reading, it was more so leaning on like the kiss of death. And to me, like the kiss of death means, it doesn't have to mean someone actually died. If they did, my deepest condolences to you. To me, the kiss of death is like the final straw that breaks the camel's back for you. That's what it means to me. Like, what in your last relationship was the kiss of death? Because like everyone typically has something. For me, it was, when I wanted to pursue yoga, that was one of the last straws. And the response that I got for wanting to pursue my own passions and my own projects and things like that was like, oh, there's no return on investment there. And that was kind of my like kiss of death, or my slap in the face that really woke me up and like shook me. And then I was like, wow, this person really has no regard for what I enjoy. And, that was after a really lengthy relationship, unfortunately. So it was just a shock to my system about like how much they valued me and what I wanted to do in my life. And it was a life of servitude that I realized I was living. And that was very shocking. So, and you can't create success if you're not pursuing your own passions and your own creative endeavors. And that was really the lesson for me, is like, how much did I value myself by staying in a relationship where no one else valued me? Now, the other portion of the archetype deck I pulled was the mask. Now, this is tied to authenticity. It's like, are you being truthful with yourself? Are you being honest? Are you being clear? Are you being concise about what it is you need and what it is you want? Or are you wearing this like, are you a chameleon where you wear this facade where you have to put on these different masks to please different people? A lot of the times when we wear masks like this, or we find ourselves molding and fitting whatever it is, whatever friend group we're with, whatever family group we're with, even if it's in like religious aspects, if we're trying to conform, and be obedient to fit in to a group, that's not a good thing. That's really just a cult-like mentality, and you can lose yourself in that. And that's why, the mask has to come off. And maybe that was like the kiss of death for you. Like maybe you realized that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze of pretending and playing this role that really left you depressed and exhausted. And I do feel like you're moving out of that sort of mindset if that's where you've been stuck at. Now, the next card I have is loyalty. Sometimes we feel like maybe we're not being loyal to a person or a friend group or somebody if we're not conforming to their perspective, to their beliefs, to their value systems. But indeed, we're actually not being loyal to ourselves when we mold ourselves to fit someone else's narrative, someone else's perception of us. That is where this loyalty, this mask, this lack of authenticity comes into play. And if you're interested in authenticity coaching, please feel free to reach out to me, because I do that as well. And it's basically, I know this sounds simple to some of you. It's all about being truthful, being honest with yourself. And that's also tied to your throat chakra. And if you're like, what's a throat chakra? Go check out my video on throat chakra, because it's a free video you can watch and learn about why it's important. And sometimes when we have a closed throat chakra, that can lead to issues speaking. It can lead to thyroid issues, and your limbic system is affected by that. So make sure you go. Did I say limbic? Anyways, yeah, I think I'm right. I don't know. I'm going to Google that later. I don't know why I said limbic, but it just came to mind. But it's also tied to your lymph nodes and things like that. So make sure you're being clear about your intentions and your truth and your purity, and make sure you're speaking it or writing it. It doesn't have to necessarily be vocalizing it. But I do feel like your throat chakra is important at this time. Now this card says, your reliability demonstrates your loving sense of devotion and consistency of being. Now, you may think like authenticity coaching, that sounds cheesy. Why would anybody ever need that? Well, they do. Because a lot of people have this habit of doing what... Sorry, this euphemism's getting messed up in my head. They don't do what they say they're going to do. And that happens more often than we realize, because we want to think, oh, that person had really good intentions. They said they were going to do this, but then they just ran out of time. They never did. And we end up giving that person the benefit of the doubt. Now, sometimes is that acceptable? Yes. But if it's a consistent behavior, that is, in a way, it's gaslighting or manipulation, because what happens is that person gets the validation, the gratification of telling somebody like, oh, I'm going to do this for you. And then they feel good because that person's like, oh my, like how thoughtful would that be? And it's really a potential. It's not them actually doing something. It's the talk. And a lot of the times, us ladies, if you're a lady watching this, even if you're a man, it's still relevant. Energy is fluid, so just flip the script here. A lot of the times women get caught up in what is he saying he's going to do versus what is he actually doing. And really we need to see, we need the proof. The proof's in the pudding, okay? So the next moon card I have for you is Luck is on Your Side in Sagittarius. Now, some of you might be a Sagittarius. Jupiter is, I don't know, it's somewhere out there. I'm not a great astrologer, honestly. It's like Jupiter's doing something, so you might want to check that out. But most of this, before I get on the video and I start doing my meditations and I do a cleansing, it's a whole ritual before I get on here and do tarot cards, because I'm cleansing the energy. I'm cleansing myself of any energy that I'm carrying that might affect the reading. But when I was listening to music, which is my form of meditation, I get in a zone. I don't know how or why. I've always just listened to music, but I get into a heightened zone where I can really tap in. And the song that came on was Cardinal by Casey Musgraves, and then it was Saturn return. So I do feel like there's some significant information tied to Saturn return, but I do feel like with this Luck is on Your Side, it's going to be reaping the benefits of the good karma that you've put out there. So some of you will be receiving a gift soon. I don't think it's going to be it may not be like a tangible gift. This might be a gift of like a relationship or a person or a connection, or maybe even a new job opportunity for you to get started on a new trajectory. I had a gift this morning, which was kind of an odd gift for me. I've always been very interested in singing and music. Music is just my a total it's like my survival mechanism essentially. And I always lean into music whenever I'm having a difficult time, and I was gifted some lovely lyrics. And I've never been a lyricist, but I do feel like that has been a reward for some of the fruits of my hard labor, and probably for just being, on here on YouTube posting these videos, because a lot of this time I just do this for free to help people because tarot has helped me. So you might be receiving a gift like that just in connecting with your divine aspects. Just because the energy is really strong at this time with the Lionsgate portal, so you might be getting like some downloads or some codes or having some crazy dreams. And a lot of the times, if you write down your dreams or you pay attention to your dreams and you can actually remember them and have recall, they're messages from your higher self or from your guides or from passed on loved ones that get in there, and they can help guide you on a proper trajectory. So that might be some parts of the gifts that you're receiving. Now, the next card I have for you is Deer. It says, bring gentleness and grace in every aspect of your life. So if you've been having a hard time being open-hearted or just kind in the face of darkness, in the face of sorrow or grief or loss, or just, the daily grind of life, and you're like, I'm really sick of it. Like, I feel you. Like I do. I feel you. I was reading something and it really pissed me off the other day. I don't know if I can say piss, but I just did. It was about a third of the time be happy, a third of the time be sad, and then the other third of the time you're just going to be like nothing, or like working or whatever. So it's like, it was a bit depressing, I'll be honest, but I was like, well, why should I always be happy 24/7? That doesn't make sense. That's not sustainable, and then why should I always be sad 24/7? That's not sustainable either. It's not really 50-50 in this world. But then I was like, well, maybe that's a good, kind of spectrum to follow, where you're in this third time happy, third time, sad, and then the third time you're just too distracted and busy to even notice what you're feeling. And if that's what keeps you going, okay. Who am I to say? I mean, it was just a study, so take that with a grain of salt, but I thought it was an interesting thing. Anyways, the next card I have is from my Third Eye Intuition deck. This one says act. It says, what time is it right now? Don't look at your phone, clock, or watch. Clear your mind and check. Are you right off, or how is your intuition tracking at this moment? It's 10:55 when I'm recording this, and 55 is a very significant number of change, which is a number that I have been seeing personally for the past 2 years. So it's a very frustrating number for me, because change can sometimes present conflict, but it's for our best, highest self. And I only know that because I got this lovely confirmation card. Which is destiny. Now, this is tied to your crown chakra, and if you're like, what's a crown chakra? Go check out my video on crown chakra, because it's free, and it's over there, and I can tell you what it is. But it is literally like right above your head. It's an energy center. It's our connection to our higher self, essentially, to the divine, one of our many connections. Now, destiny is all about, like, what did you agree to when you came into this life? And if you're like somebody who doesn't believe in past lives or future lives or whatever, you probably just generally shouldn't be watching this video, because there's a lot of books out there, a lot of studies, a lot of scientific studies. We are all 21 grams of energy. 21 grams leaves our bodies after we die. So that is scientifically factual. And energy does not just dissolve into thin air per se. We as humans can only see 5% of baryonic matter. If you're like, what the hell is baryonic matter? Give it a Google. It's statistically proven. We can only see a certain spectrum of color with our eyes. Birds and animals can see different ways. Everything is vibration. Everything is frequency. This is also atomically, scientifically proven. So I do believe personally that when we come into these lives, we have a plan. As conscious thought beings, energetic beings, magnetic and electric beings, we make this plan to come into this mind game, essentially. We pick our meat suit, our bodies. We pick a lot of different things that will help us align to our highest trajectory, our highest timeline. And I do think that this is the stage of destiny that you're at, where you're like, why does it have to be this way? And Spirit is really trying to say, like, this was for your highest best self. This is for your best growth option. And this is also having to do with clearing a lot of karma that you had from past lives. Now, if you're, again, like somebody who's like, I haven't had past lives, I guarantee you have. If you have any birthmark on you, typically birthmarks are also scientifically proven to be markers, essentially, for like past wounds. Like, you maybe were in a battle and you got shanked or whatever, and then that's how you moved on to the next life. Like, that does happen. I've had some very vivid, it's not even lucid, it's very, I've tapped into the Akashic records and had visions of past lives and things of that nature. So it's very much so a thing. And if you've never read any of Dr. Brian Weiss's books, I would highly suggest those, because those are very he can really tap in to your past lives and things like that. And then you figure out why you're with certain people, why your destiny is a certain way, and why you have these karmic relationships, because, you know, you didn't learn the lesson the last time, or that person didn't learn the lesson the last time, so then you have to go through it again. So anyways, that was a random tangent. Thanks for staying here if you're still listening. The next card I have is the Time to Go card. This is ADD. I just can't help it. I can get on a trajectory and talk about something else for like hours and then be like, oh yeah, what was I doing? Squirrel. That's just how I function. Thank you, brain. This is one downside of being neurodivergent and trying to run a YouTube channel. Okay, the Time to Go is about breaking habits and old patterns. It's about getting out of some sort of cycle. And maybe you have finally broken free from your I don't want to say broken free from your destiny. We all do have destiny, where we're meant to meet certain people at certain time. Maybe you want to call that serendipity as well. But we can get, you know, from destiny, which is what we've chosen to do, into like a fated sort of timeline where you have you can control fate so much, because we all have free will. But it's like I like to think of it as like one of those books from the 90s where you had like, you could write your own story in a way, but it was like the story was already preset, but you could choose like jump to page 7 if you want to see Julie date Zach or something silly. Like, you could jump to the next page and then that would be the new chapter. I forget what those are called, but it's like the skip your own book. Like, if anybody knows what that's called, put it in the comments. But basically our lives are kind of like that. Like, we have so much free will and we can kind of shift our trajectories for the most part. Obviously the end result is going to be the same for everyone, so that's just how it goes. But this Time to Go is like, get out of this cycle that you're in, this loop, and go on this new path, because you also have this new path card. It says, I am beginning an exciting new path of self-discovery. And I feel guided to show you the image as well. That might be significant. It's kind of almost like a crystal or a flower and a moon. It's like black hole sun vibes. So that song might be significant for some of you as well. But you are on a new path. You are on a new timeline. You're on a new trajectory. And that's what this Lionsgate portal is all about. If you're watching this video, if you felt guided to be here, it's for a reason. It's because you needed that confirmation of like, yeah, I am making the proper moves. I am going in the right direction for me and myself and what's serving me and what's going to bring me ultimately peace and happiness. Because I got like the best cards for your tarot portion. And this is where I am getting into the tarot reading. Sorry I'm being so chatty today, but there's just a lot to say with this energy. Now, the past energy is the Knight of Pentacles. Maybe you felt very, maybe you were like single in a relationship. I know that sounds counterproductive, but they talk about like being a single mother when you're married. And I've been there. I totally understand that. It's like everything's one-sided. You're doing everything yourself. You're wearing all these hats. And then at the end of the day, you're like, why am I even in a relationship like this? So maybe you've had to really step up and be like the single person where you're doing all of the things and you're the only one putting in the work. Or maybe you are quite literally single now and you're like, okay, I'm in this fiery independent energy and this is what's moving me forward, because I'm pursuing, you know, my work goals. And, you know, if you're like, I've never been married, I've never been in any of that stuff, I don't have children or whatever, okay, cool. But you've been in this like independent, fierce mode of let's get stuff done. Now, your present energy is the Four of Pentacles. This is kind of like regrets, holding back a little bit, maybe a little bit reserved in spending, or even reserved when it comes to like your social life, which is fine. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with holding back if you've been hurt in the past. I do think a lot of us need time to heal, and the shock of, how did I let myself be in this relationship for so long? Or how did I let myself be in this career for so long and be so unhappy? Like, that is shocking when we actually like can't see the forest through the trees. When we do get at the time or really learn the lesson and we take that step back, like that, it's a shock to the system. And I feel like, sometimes we have to get into this Four of Pentacles mode where we're really like holding back and we're just like, wow, like what happened here? Why did I let myself do that? Why did I compromise my loyalty to myself or my self-worth for someone else? Like, what mask was I wearing? Why did I, let love totally eclipse any brain function, and that's, sometimes we do get lost in the lusties, or we get lost in life, and we don't always find ourselves again, but some of us do. And I do feel like whoever is watching this, you're definitely finding yourself again, and you're being guided on a path that's going to be something that's calm and peaceful instead of chaos and conflict all the time. Because you have this Six of Swords in your future. And Six of Swords is all about sailing from like treacherous seas into like cool, calm waters. And that's what you need. You need that. I feel like if you've had a life where you've been constantly in this like fight or flight state, it's probably really done a damage to your nervous system, and done a lot of damage to your nervous system. And it's probably also been like emotionally this roller coaster. And people do stay in relationships or situations or careers that, don't feed their soul, and they will get stuck. It's just like, you get stuck on a roller coaster ride. You're just stuck on it forever, and then they die that way. That sounds pretty miserable to me. But, everyone has to reach their limit, and sometimes they may not reach their limit in this lifetime. But again, that's not really my place or anyone's place to judge, because we're all on different journeys and we all have a different destiny. So that might just be somebody's karma to clear for a lifetime. And who am I to say that's okay or not okay? That's totally up to you. Now, in your subconscious energy, you have two fours. I wasn't going to take the Emperor, but the 4 and the 4 stuck out at me. So 44 might be a significant number. The Four of Wands is a celebration, an engagement, some wedding kind of vibes. Now, I'm not getting like wedding vibes, but like I also am a person who, when I get divorced, I usually celebrate it. Just like I would a wedding, because, thankfully I've only been divorced twice, but 2 times is enough. And it's a celebration because I like broke free from something that was trapping me, essentially, that I didn't want to be in any longer. And, for reasons that I will keep personal, it was justified in my mind. And I would never do the things that either one of my exes did. And it was a celebration to me because I had finally grown enough to see, like, wow, whoever that person was that I thought I was marrying was definitely not the same person that I ended up divorcing. And I'm very, very glad that I got away from them. And maybe that's what you're celebrating. You're celebrating like getting away from a relationship that was toxic. And that should be something to celebrate, because a lot of women are like, oh no, like, well, why didn't you try this? Why didn't you try that? And guess what? Those women or those men or whoever you're talking to, most likely women, probably shouldn't be your friend, because I've had some very judgmental people like, oh no, like you got divorced, like that's terrible. And then I'm like, well, it was actually more terrible staying in it. So no, it's not terrible at all. Like, it wasn't. And this Emperor energy is like the masculine energy. It's like maybe you had to be the one that wore the pants in the whole relationship the whole time. So if you're a man, that makes sense. But if you're a woman, you're carrying the weight of both worlds. That's not very equitable, or that's not really, to me, what a relationship should entail. But to each their own. So anyways, I just feel like if you haven't celebrated yourself, do it. because you're here, you're watching this video, you're trying to make the effort to change things and shift yourself, and I do feel like there are sweet rewards and there's justice coming and luck is on your side, so don't give up hope. Thank you for being here. Yeah, that's kind of all I have for you. Sorry this video is so long, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps my channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. I just saw 444 on the recording clock, so that might be a significant number for you as well. But yeah, thanks. I'll see you next time.